Alright, hello. As talked about, going to be doing some feedback. Essentially, the things that we'll try and walk through on some of these videos, most of it's going to be defensively focused, is just around the things that you could be doing to, I guess, anticipate things a little more, and then also just put on the extra little bit of pressure defensively. I've briefly talked about it at training, but we'll just run through some explicit examples just to show the types of things that I'm saying. Cool. So first clip is obviously at Nationals, you're here. We start off good, tight with Jackson. I don't mind that going back. I couldn't tell you what your force is, but that's right. What I'm looking for is on defense is almost, I guess, the awareness of where the frisbee is and what that then means for you as a defender and what you're looking to take away. Obviously, lots of stuff happening, running around. Maybe there's a call. Skip forward. Where are you? Have you gone? Oh, fuck, I'm looking at the wrong team. Over here. Sorry. Good help there. And then, obviously, a little fucking speculator. Get out of there. And just an unreal play to get the goal. The particular thing that I was looking at in this clip, sorry, a little bit disjointed because I'm just training myself, is when the disc goes out over to this break side. I think you guys are forced backhand. What I would love to see is, as the defender here, your natural tendency is to jog with and run with the players, but from what I've seen, you don't always put in the extra step just to get into the spot that's going to be most advantageous for you as a defender, and in particular to try and force the offense to do something. And so in this particular case, although Jackson has offloaded that frisbee and passed around, your natural tendency is to have a look, see where the threat is, which is cool, but you also let Jackson get on your back shoulder here, and then once that happens, you've turned, you engage, but then that means you miss this next threat, and then from here, if Nick had got it and Jackson maybe had done something or activated, where you were at, I would argue, I don't know if you know, that the frisbee is gone to Nick. So ideally the thing that I'm sort of looking for is off these moments off the mark, and we'll see in another clip or two in a second, is ideally we're putting in the step early to get almost relative to this position, so then Jackson is potentially forced to go into the backfield, or if he keeps going downfield, then you know exactly where he's going, and then you can fully sell out on that. As the disc moves here, you're fine, but if Jackson had actually sent it then and gone long, probably would have been. And this is almost more of the position that if we're marking a tight match, I'd like to see you in. Goes out of the screen. Not really too much in the rest of the clip. So point one is kind of just thinking about how can we be off the mark. This hopefully is a little bit more of a clip. You're here. Again, pretty casual, and you let Jackson close up that buffer. You're tight with him, which is cool. But the things that I'm looking for is when you aren't in this tight position, are you putting in that work early enough to maintain that buffer? Because basically when someone's static, you're sweet. You know where you are, you know what you should be taking away. But the weakness that I see at the moment is when, your person moves, you're not going early enough to try and maintain that, and you just let that buffer open almost organically because you're assuming they're not necessarily a threat. So what I would like to see is you're already comfortable playing close. Why not try and do that as much as you can, unless you're actively looking to help and then go out, and in which case, yeah, you can sell out into the lane. But I think the intention right now is to try and play that time match. Again, this whole time, if Jackson had activated and attacked aggressively here, you would have had to respect that, and then he would have gone the under, versus if you'd put in that extra little step just to be closer and tighter, then that's exactly where we are now, which is great. this goes. Again, pretty happy with this buffer. This is the sort of proximity that I'm talking about. Let's call in some BS. I think there's a turn, and now we're looking at some offense. You're out over here. Do a good job of attacking. Not your fault. Probably would have got that one. Again, another BS foul call. Sorry, a little biased. Where are you? You're off in the downfield. Oh, right here. Sorry. Pretty happy on the most part with this handler movement. Pretty good shot. And I think you're doing a good job of proactively positioning. So offensively, I don't really have many issues at all. It's just that proactivity on defense. Hopefully I've got one more. Where are you at? Over here. So the balance when you are close is if that frisbee moves, you need to be aware of that and ready to respond. And I think if we see when you are here, you set up, maybe assuming that the frisbee is still over here to try and prioritize stopping this inside channel. But as soon as that frisbee goes, again, if Ryan had attacked out here, would have been beaten, which, hey, maybe that's to the break side, it's okay. But that slight adjustment means that because you're out of position, when he takes a step this way, you have to bite and respect that. And then there's this big gap, which then you get help, thank goodness. But when you then recover to Pete, again, you just accept that the position that you're in is enough. I want to see, especially on a player like Pete, who is fast, realizing that you've got this under position, but then potentially orbiting, just that little bit, and being ready to then attack long and stop. Because as this frisbee goes up, there's already been this yard that's been closed, and although it fades out, if that was completed, and then Pete was off to the races, that's try time all day. So pretty pedantic, but again, the thing that I guess I'm trying to encourage here is there are times to switch off and times to not, and I think your default at the moment is switching off when your person is almost in that, not necessarily primary activated spot, but you wait for them to be activated before you then key in and play some D. I think there was some O here, which again, pretty happy with how your O is playing out. Oh, excuse me. I shouldn't be yawning. Cool. Where are we? We are back here. Ryan's obviously got great breaks, so that's fine. But again, this run through here, you can just see that there's an opportunity to close out that gap, and you basically wait until Ryan is activated before you then be like, all right, now's my go time. Ideally, I'd love to see the activation happening early, so then you are expecting it and you keyed in. Because oftentimes on defense, the danger zones is when we sort of tune out and stop. That's when we get punished. Still here. Good. Again, knowing where that threat is. Good aggressive running, which is great. I think Ryan's still off screen. You may be downfield. He was obviously down and then has come back. He goes at FMing, which is cool. I think I'm looking for Ryan's past it here, and you do a good job of sagging. Now you're on Andy. Probably a pick. Could have called it. Good. Closing up that gap. Pretty happy with defense right now. Again, off screen. Good adjustment. Again, recognizing that the threat narrows out here with where Andy's going. It's a lovely little break pass. So on the whole, that last one, pretty happy. What we're going to look at now is just some clips from Oz. You are here. The things that I'm thinking about in this one is the great mark that you've got. So compliments on this, putting a good pressure. This then moves, comes back again. The anticipation, like it is hard to stop that throw as far back as it was, but you can see that once this throw goes, you sort of then be like, oh yeah, cool. It's be okay rather than be like, oh, actually, he could be a threat. Great mark, good block, happy with that. And then can't remember if we score, but oh, yeah, it was this one. Yuck. Cool. So now we're looking a little bit more downfield D. In this particular clip, you'll hear, the main thing I'm interested in this one is just that balance of following versus attacking the space. There's some offense that happens, la-di-da-da. There's a turn. That didn't take long, did it? Where are you now? Here. So you're marking a guy who just loves to run, and you're attacking. And again, peeling, which is good. We know though, I think the spot that you're closing up to here, I think we're a forehand force. Ideally, you almost want to close up here and be ready for really the underlook that might happen. You then do a full 360. I think we're on the back side. Maybe doing some backing, which is good. So again, static positioning is sweet. The thing that I'm looking for is as soon as this guy starts moving and activates, are you adjusting? A little bit of chase, hanging in the back. Oh, we did call a lot of calls, didn't we? Where's he going next? That's the question that I would be asking. Do a good job of thinking about that, I think, because your guy doesn't see it. Let's move that out of the way. We're here. Good orbiting. Oof. And this one is obviously a hard one to recover on, but hustling up is great. And then a little goal down the line. So, to be fair, now that I'm watching these backs, your general D positioning is pretty great. We're just looking at those little things that we can do, especially early in those positions. And again, when you guys are here, there's really little that you actually need to be doing, and I think you can potentially look to help in here if we're looking for. But your positioning is still very much eyes on this player, versus if you are up here a little bit more, potentially you could be positioned facing this way, so you could scan over here and also be already on your threat. This moves. My question is, were you expecting this? Probably not. And to be fair, the offensive person does run a pretty good line that they hear and then bring you infield to close up, and means that you don't have that ideal buffer. Probably they just did move pretty quickly here, but I think obviously the position ideally is to have you out here so you're running with it, and I think that all comes from when we're here. If we'd adjusted, seen that just move, and almost adjusted our position to be in here in this pocket, and I guess relative to where the player is now, you'd have that downfield buffer, and then probably this guy wouldn't just steam on through. But it is literally a game of like meters sometimes. And the frustration happens. Cool. Offense on turn. Oh yeah, a few clips here. Little doinky turn. The main reason this one's interesting, you do a great job of just offering some options, especially when the lads are out of legs a little. Where are you? Oh, did I just include? No, oh, fuck, you're here. Almost getting hand blocked there. Could be slightly better on the pivots. Good attacking up through though. And then I think we speculated here. Yeah, cool. Nothing to note on that one. Right. Oh, we're back to the start. Okay, so I guess now that I've watched those clips back, there's nothing like glaringly like obvious. I think literally the difference maker is just going to be for you balancing when are you close, and then when your person isn't active, what are you going to do, and how are you going to regain that position to dictate stuff? Because you have the natural speed, But I think the main thing that I want you to think about is how can you proactively be in a spot so then you can maximize that speed to try and contain, and you do have great work rate as well. So yeah, not sure if this has been a super helpful video review, but I guess the other general observation that I have as well is like I think across all of the games you don't play a whole lot. So I think for you, you will be maybe fresh if that trend continues. And I think the thing that you should be thinking about is how can you effectively keep that work rate as high as you can throughout the points, knowing that you're about to balance that with rest, right? And essentially either be full on hunting the whole time and trying to stay as close as you can all the time to your person, or looking for those opportunities to go help and then go basically exploit the spaces that are out there. Cool. Hopefully this was helpful.